I want to talk a little bit about how we will be conducting this course. So for those of you folks who are joining us for the very first time, I welcome you all to TrainingRite, and hopefully you'll have a great time learning SoapUI as a web service testing tool. We will be meeting on Mondays and Wednesdays between the hours of 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The course is starting here today on a Wednesday, so if we go ahead and then count, this is the first class, this is second and third, this is fourth and fifth, this is going to be the sixth class. Now, our seventh class would be on 3rd of July, and then the final class, I don't know if I want to take it beyond that 6th. So what we're going to be doing is we will try and finish off the course before 4th of July. Before 4th of July, on 3rd of July would be like the 7th class, but we try and squeeze one class on one of the weekends, either on the weekends or maybe on a Friday evening. We'll try to do that and then make sure that we finish the course before the 4th of July. All right, so that's how we're going to be conducting this course. Now, again, for those of you folks who are joining us for the very first time, there are a couple of things which I want to run you, through you so that you have an idea of how we do it. The tool which we are using right now, this tool is for the online meeting. This is from a company called GoToWebinar.com. So on the right side, top right side of your screen, you might be seeing like a little control panel. It if you don't use it, I guess there is a timeout on it. So after 2 or 3 minutes of inactivity, it is going to go into the something called the sleep mode or the collapse mode. And if you click on that arrow, it kind of like opens up. And when it opens up, you have a window on the bottom where you could be typing your message. So that's how you would be interacting with me. So if you have any question at any given time, you have two ways of interacting with me. Either you can type your question in there, or you can click on that little icon like the palm or the wrist or however you see it. Basically, if you click on that, it kind of like raises a flag next to your name on my control panel, and then that will indicate me that you have a question to ask, or you need my attention. So if I am in the middle of something, I'll try to finish my thought and then come back and address your concern, your question, your whatever you have to say at that point. So those are two different ways of interacting with me. Now, the other things which I quickly want to bring it to your attention is, the way we will be communicating offline. Online, we will be meeting 8 sessions, 2 hours each session. So feel free to ask me any questions, any number of questions. There's no limitation on that, so you can ask me any number of questions. That's how we'll keep it more like an interactive session. Now, offline, if you have any questions, you will be posting those questions onto the Google group. So you will become a member of the Google group. Today's class is kind of like a free class, open for all. But once you decide that you want to enroll for it, then we will make you a member of the forum. We got different Google groups in here, so you will become a member of this SoapUI. And over here, you can research for different things. Let's say if you have any question on the databases, parameterization of databases, if you have any question on that. So once you click on that, there are so many threads in here which talks about databases. So as you see here, the students from the previous batches, if they have any issues, they would have mentioned it over here. So I'm clicking on one of the links there. So this is basically the the connection string which we will be using. So let us see if there are any other things pertaining to that, or let's say if there is anything to do with, let's say, WSDL, Web Service Description Language, WSDL document. So over here, so many students from the past, they have questions or about WSDL. So you can, if you have any questions about a WSDL, you basically come over here, you type that, and then try and see how we have addressed that question in the past. So no need to call me or no need to email me, because you might find the solution what you're looking for right here in the Google group. So your first research should be in the Google group itself, and if you don't find any answer to that, then post a question. So what you do is you come in here and then you click on the new post, and you post whatever your question is. Make it as detailed as you can by making sure if you have any attachments, in the form of any images or anything, do that, or describe your issue as in detail as you can. So this is how you would be interacting with us offline. All right. Now you will be given assignments at the end of every session. Like today's session, when I conclude, I'm going to be giving you an assignment. So assignments are going to be due 7 days from the day I give you that assignment. So if I give you an assignment right now, it is going to be due next Wednesday, so that you always have a weekend in between, because most of you guys, or at least some of you guys, are working. So you need to have some time to do your assignments, and that is the weekend you should be able to do it. So 7 days is what we give you the time to submit your assignments. There will be 8 assignments. You have to submit those assignments, and basically when you submit the assignment, that basically is going to tell you, how you stand as far as your learning is concerned, whether you are getting it or not, because that is kind of like a measure of your performance. So if you really are getting it, then you would be able to complete those assignments without any issues. All right. So that's I talked about the assignments. I talked about the way you're going to be interacting with me offline, online. Let me also take you to screencast. You will become a member of this server once you make your payments. If you are not already a student of TrainingRite, then this would kind of like be the first time you're looking into something here. Basically what we do here is we host our videos on this server. So you would be given access to these videos. As you can see, we have different courses going on in here. We have QTP, Selenium, QA, manual testing, and then we have SoapUI, and then we have JMeter, we have LoadRunner, we have Git training, ASP.NET, C#, whatever. So we have, so in your case, you will be given access to SoapUI. So let me just go into SoapUI. As you can see, there's a SoapUI January batch, and then there is a March batch, and then there is a May batch. So let me just randomly go in and look into this batch, May batch. So, or probably the March batch. So over here, as you can see, there would be 8 videos, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So these are like all listed in date order. So you would be given access to these videos. So in advance, meaning that once you enroll, you would be given access to at least 2 batches. So you could go and then watch these videos. These videos over here, it tells you basically the size of the video and the duration of the video. So each video is almost 2 hours long. As you can see, this is 2 hours 3 minutes, 2 hours 2 minutes, 2 hours 9 minutes, and 2 hours 17, 2 hours. So that is basically how we will be conducting this course. So meaning that every time when we meet here, we meet on an average for 2 hours per session. And the moment I start this session, I will make sure that I record this session. So this session is being recorded right now. So we'll upload the video by the end of the day today, and then you can have access to the video as soon as we upload it. You will see it. So watch the videos, and then we will also give you some printed, material. So basically, we will give you access to what is called in the Google Drive. We have different courses in here. So I'm going to take you into something called SoapUI. So in SoapUI, these are basically the material which will give it to you. these are Word documents or PDF documents covering different topics. So in your leisure, just read these documents. They will help you a lot as how we do certain things. Okay, now as far as the software is concerned, we are going to do web service testing, and web service testing is basically done using a tool called SoapUI tool. So we get that tool from a company called SoapUI. So I'm going to type soapui.org. So that is going to take me to the name of the company is Smart Bear, and this is the name of the company, Smart Bear. SoapUI is the name of the tool. So you will go to soapui.org and then you will download that tool. So here is the tool. Download free trial version for 14 days. So you click on that, and then basically they will ask you to enter a few things in here. And as soon as you enter these things, they will let you download the software. The software is not too huge. I think it's hardly like not even like 100 or 150 megabytes. So you should be able to download it within no time. And in the future classes, I will show you as how we can extend the trial period. So I'll walk you through as how to do that. This trial is going to expire after 14 days, but with the cheap trick which I'm going to be sharing with you, you would be able to use it for a longer period of time. Somebody might have not received their link, so just give me a second. I apologize to you. This happens occasionally. Anyway, so let's come back and talk about downloading the software. Once you download the software, it's in the zip format. So you just extract it, unzip it, extract it, and then just click on the executable file, and then the software will get installed. Now, as far as the softwares are concerned, there are two types of softwares. Not two types of software. The SoapUI comes in like two forms. One is the open source, which is free for all. You're not paying anything, which is this one. Download SoapUI. And the other one, as you can see, it's a pro version. So the difference between the SoapUI and the SoapUI Pro version is with the SoapUI Pro version, you have the ability to do so many complex things, like if you have to connect to an database, external repository, if you have to connect to Excel or to a database, or if you have to do any complex operations like that, they have been basically programmed into the tool itself, meaning with the clicks of few buttons here and there, you are able to connect to a database. You are able to configure a query in the database, and you are able to do a lot of things without writing much code. Now, but then there are times when you have to write code. Even the pro version is not like extremely rich in feature that you could pretty much do anything and everything without writing a code. So there are times where you have to go and you have to write the code. So in order to write the code, you have to learn a language, and that language happens to be Groovy. Groovy, Groovy. So Groovy, you can say Groovy as a distant cousin of Java. So if you folks have experience in Java, then learning Groovy will be a piece of cake for you. So it's going to be very easy for you to learn that. Now, while I am talking, if you guys have any questions at any time, feel free to type your questions. Feel free to talk to me. So if you tell me that, hey, I need to talk to you, I will go ahead and I will unmute you, so that you and we can talk and make things interactive. So it's not like a one way that I should keep talking all the time and you guys are listening. So feel free at any given time if you need to talk with me. All right. Okay. Now, as far as the software I was talking about, if you see here on my screen, this is like the orange color, and then I have something which is right under it, which is a green color, right? I mean, let me just pull them over here. Okay, so now, I mean, it would be crazy of me if I want to identify something by with a visual cue, like orange is a pro version and green is because tomorrow they can change that. But usually for consistency purpose, I mean, looking at the emblem, you identify things, right? So, it's easy for me to see that, okay, green is like a free version and orange is a pro version. Now, how else would you be able to identify? If the tool is already open, how would you be able to identify that? So let's say this is the pro version and I'm starting that, and you will be able to, would be able to install that within minutes. There is no complex steps as far as the installation is concerned. It kind of like goes like a breeze, very, very simple, clicking on few buttons here and there, and then the software gets installed. So what I'm going to be showing you right now is give you some idea of when it opens for the very first time, what are the things that you guys have to look around, so that you become familiar with the tool. Like any other tool, this tool is this tool is also it has right on the top the menu items. As you can see, these are the menu items on the top, like and if you have used Word, Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint and all that, most of us, we have used those software. So when you click on file, you see something, right? So this is menu driven. So if I could, likewise, if I click on file, I see so many things. Now what you have to understand is what the heck is a workspace, because it says a new workspace, or it says switch workspace, and then it says preferences, and things like that. So we got to make ourselves familiarized with these terms, right? Because there are some terms which are SoapUI, kind of like proprietary terms, meaning that they are not standard things. Even though workspace is kind of like a standard thing. I mean, what do you understand by a workspace? What is a workspace? I mean, if I have to talk about my own workspace, my workspace is the area where I put things related to my work, right? I mean, nice way of saying it, I guess, but that's exactly what a workspace is. So workspace is nothing but an area where you keep your projects or your code or your everything, right? So likewise over here, there is something called a workspace. So if I move away from here and show you this here, right on the top, day 5, May 2013, there is a batch going on right now, which is a May batch, and I have finished about 5 classes of that. There are 3 more classes to be done, and then this Saturday and Sunday is going to be the 6th and the 7th class, and then finally, that course will be over. So if you are in a rush, right? If you want to finish this course sooner, you have a lot of ways of doing that. One way is I'm going to be sharing with you those videos, the set of videos. Like I was talking to you about those videos. I don't know where they are gone, but probably I might have closed it. Here it is. So as you can see here, let me scroll down a little bit. And if you find me talking a little bit fast, let me know. Just stop me because sometimes I go very slow, and sometimes I go kind of like a little fast. So I think the bottom line of you and I getting together and spending 2 hours every evening, or twice in a week, is there's a purpose for that. The purpose is well, you have paid, right, and whatever you have paid X amount of dollars for a reason. That reason is transfer of knowledge. So I have to transfer my knowledge to you, right? Now we have to achieve it, right? So we got to make sure that the goal, the objective is met. And the way the objective is will or can be met is if I am saying something and if you are able to understand that. So if you are not able to understand that, let's say there are like 15, 16 people in the session. Now, if more than half of you guys are not understanding, that means that there is definitely something wrong with me. Maybe my presentation is not good, or maybe the way I am explaining it is not getting into your head. But if it is like 1 or 2 people, then it's not me then. It's you then. I shouldn't say it's you, but we got to look into what is the problem. So the whole deal here is when you come here, when you are investing your time and money and whatever you're investing, I want you to get the best of it. Right? Make the best use of your 2 hours when you come in here. So if you're not understanding something, make some noise, right? Talk to me. Say hello. Give me, why did you do this? Why did you talk to me? But I don't want you to just leave here not getting it, because that will put a bad taste in my mouth, because that means that I'm not doing a good job. And I really want to earn my money. That means that I want to teach you in such a way that you get it. You get it and then you use it, right? And let me tell you this. Let me give you this news that SoapUI is extremely hot in the industry right now. So if you go to dice.com and if you do a little search on SoapUI, right? And I'm not even gonna put any city or state or zip code, or because I'm looking all over the country and look for it. You will be surprised to find the big number of jobs which are available in SoapUI, right? So SoapUI QA automation tester, SoapUI. So a lot of SoapUI jobs are there, and the going rate, as you can see here, $60 an hour, right? $65 an hour. Now it all depends like what part of the country they are offering that kind of money. I can tell you right now that on the East Coast, whether that is Boston, Massachusetts, right, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, these areas, 60, 65 is the average there. So, I mean, I have, believe it or not, I mean, I have students who are making $85 an hour, right? So they have come, they have taken this course, and then they keep in touch with me. They call me every now and then and I appreciate the fact that they keep thanking me every now and then, because they're making good, decent money, $80, $85. But there are certain exceptions, right? I mean, you have to basically go to downtown New York and New York City. I mean, I hate to go to downtown New York City because I got to be sitting in the traffic for almost like an hour and a half, and I just cannot do that, like sit in the traffic for an hour and a half. So that is I'm willing to sacrifice $5, $10 and work for a little less. But that's me. But you don't have to do that. So the average rates right now for SoapUI is depending on the part of the country you are going to work for. So East Coast and West Coast around $60-65. That's the norm, right? And if you go in the Midwest, Middle America, right? Let's say Chicago, Dallas, then you're talking about $10, $15 less. So probably like $45 or $50, right? And I'm being very conservative here. I'm being on the lower side of the spectrum here, right? So you can expect even close to $60, even if you are like in Dallas or let's say Chicago, right? But learn it good. I mean, they're not going to throw away their money just like that. Like, I mean, they're not going to pay you $60 for just coming and sitting there. You got to produce. You got to, do things. So what are the expectations? What are they expecting you to do? They are basically expecting you to basically test the web service. So, and that's what we got to be doing in here in the next 8 sessions. We will be testing a lot of web services. So in order to test web services, you have to have an idea of what these web services are and how they are hosted, how they are like how they work and all that. So what I will be doing for the next few minutes in here is quickly going to be talking about web services. Now, but before I do that, now, I think I did mention it to you a couple of times that give me some idea that you guys are around. I mean, you have not dozed off. Just say hi, hello, or something, so that I know that there is somebody on the other side, because this online thing is, if you don't interact, then I would not, maybe the connection is dropped, and then I don't know if you guys are there or not, right? So even if you, once in a while, if you just, the other day I was, thank you so much. The other day I was teaching a course, a JMeter course. Thank you so much, all of you guys who are responding. The other day I was teaching a JMeter course, and we put together that course on demand because there's a company that came in and then they said that we want to train our like 6 employees. So we quickly put together that course, and then we are right now we are offering that course. I'm not going to take the name of the company because it's one of the biggest companies in the United States and probably in the world. So they have taken a few other trainings from me in the past. So they came up for the JMeter training. So I started that training, and it goes from the same 8 p.m. to 10 p.m., but on a Saturdays and Sundays. So 2 weeks back, when I started the first day, all those guys, they came, like 6 people from that company, they were there, and then we had like 4 other people, so there were 10 people. So it has got its own, I mean, that training which we are doing has its own agenda, right? I mean, there's certain things which we are doing on that. So these guys were there, and then the second day they were there, and the third class, 6 people came. And I'm teaching, and I can see here, if you are there or not, I can see. What they have done is, when you log in, your name would be there, right? Like I see Ala, I see Bikash, I see Jeff and Anjali and all that. Like your names I'm reading, so they were there. And then they kind of like played a joke on me. So they had their names in there, and then they all left. They went to a bar. They went to a bar, and here I am. I mean, I'm teaching. Of course, the session is being recorded. So I'm teaching, and then, usually, I mean, after that, I started kind of like making it a little bit interactive in the sense that I am asking questions to people. I want you to say hello or do something. Otherwise, if you have taken a course with me, you know that I continuously babble for about, 2 hours without nonstop. I just keep talking. You know that. So on that day, so they just, all of them, they kind of like played a joke on me. So they went to a bar, and when I was ending the session, I was like giving them the assignment, and I started calling them, and nobody was there. So I thought probably, there was internet connection or something. Then later on, they told me that they wanted to just, because they wanted to tell me that you never give us an opportunity. You call it as an interactive session, but it's not at all an interactive session because you keep talking. It's like one side. You don't, ask questions or you don't interact. So So that was like an eye-opener for me. So I'm like interacting with you guys now. So I will be asking you questions. It's not like it's going to be one-sided that you would be asking. I would be asking you questions as well. All right. So be ready for that. I probably would be calling names and then asking you questions. So better you than me as far as the questions are concerned. Anyways, let's come back and talk about the tools. So we were talking about the tools. It comes in two modes. One is the pro version and the other one is the open source. The open source is the free version, and the pro is you have to pay about $350, I guess, for 1 year, and you can use it for 1 year. And then after that, the license expires. And then, so let's say if you are not buying it, if you're not paying it, and if you still have to keep using it, and I'll show you the trick as how to use that, keep continuously using it. So if I want to check when my license is going to expire, I'm going to go to help, and right under help, if you see here, there's an update license, deactivate license, and show license details. And when I click on that, right here it says that okay, this is the commercial product, and I started using it from the 1st of June, and this is going to expire on 15th of June. And this was licensed to me, Irfan, and then for TrainingRite, right? So that's basically what it is. So on 15th, it is going to expire, and once it expires, the license expires, then it's not that the tool is not usable. The tool kind of like becomes open source, meaning that all the abilities which are a part of the pro will just disappear. I cannot use them. So now the question is, what are those things which are a part of the pro? Now, for me to show you those things, I mean, it takes like 2 seconds for me to show you, but that will be like a little bit too much, because here you are trying to take a look and learn this tool, and all of a sudden I'm taking you into the advanced topics on not even the first hour. It is the half hour of the first day, and I'm talking about the differences between the two tools. So it's not fair for me to talk about the differences between the two tools, but it is suffice to say that, okay, right now there are going to be differences between the two tools, which is the open source as well as the pro tool. But when the time is right, I will highlight to you the differences. Here is the difference. This is what is available in the pro version, and it is not available in the open source version. So we will talk about it probably in the day 3, day 4, day 5. We're going to be talking about that. Okay, so right now the idea here is fast forward 4 weeks. Imagine that today is the first class, and I'm fast forwarding it to the end of the class. Imagine that today is the last class. We are done with this course. Now what? Right? What do you want to do? So we have different people in here with different needs. Some of you guys might already be working in web service testing. So your company is going to use SoapUI, so you quickly want to learn. So I understand that. Now, for the rest of you folks who are learning this so that you could find a better opportunity, then this is for those of you folks. What you have to do is starting from today, there are going to be a lot of stuff in here which we'll be covering in this 8 classes. I mean, just to give you an idea, over here, let me just take you, and I mean, I don't want you to in any way scare you, or I don't want you to get overwhelmed with what you're seeing in here. But this is some coding, right? This is some coding which we'll be doing here. So I'm trying to get connected to a database. I'm opening a connection to a SQL server, writing the code. So the idea here, why am I doing this? The idea here is to show you that you will be learning a lot of coding in here. And I will make sure that it's not going to be like I am just coming here for 2 hours. I will do my thing and then leave it. I will be asking you to do the assignments, and the best way for you to learn something is by doing it. So you have to go ahead and then you have to do these things. So if you find yourself able to do these things, right, as a part of the assignment, you will watch me do it during the session, and then you don't really have to take down notes, but it's always helps if you want to scribble down something on a piece of paper just to recall like what we have done, the main bullets. You don't really have to write down everything. As I'm typing this code, you don't have to like quickly type everything out of it, because the video is going to be there. And on top of that, if you see over here in our Google group, I will eventually be sharing this code also in the Google group. So for those of you folks who are already a member, you can go in here and then you can type, let's say, a query database code, right? And here it is. If you go in here, see here, that's the code, right? That's the code. So here is the code. You could technically copy paste this code, and then this code is going to work. And so there are a lot of happy campers from our previous batches, because the amount of stuff which I would be covering, only because I want to make sure that we will come up with an agenda, with a goal, and then we should be able to achieve that goal in 8 sessions. So we were talking about what to do after the classes, 8 classes. Basically, what you got to do is come up with a good, decent resume, right? And of course, I will definitely help you with the resumes as well. I'm going to give you some sample resumes, and you could pretty much copy paste things from in there, and then these are resumes which have fetched some significant results. People remember I was talking about some of the folks getting $85. It's not their resume I'm talking about, but I have helped them with the resume. So some of the content you can also have it in there, and how to present it, because you might be an expert. I mean, you are coming here, you are learning these things, you are pretty fast, you will learn all of these things. But I know that you are good. I mean, the way I know that you are good is because you will be submitting your assignments, and looking at your assignments, I can make an impression that yes, he or she is getting it because she's doing all the assignments, or he's doing all the assignments. Because assignments is a way of like measuring your success, your performance. And if you find yourself completing all the assignments on time, and every time you are submitting the assignments, that means that you are learning it. For those of you folks who are submitting the assignments, you should be crediting yourself. You should be patting yourself on your back. Now, for those of you who have reasons that, okay, I did the assignment, but my dog ate how the heck you will let a dog eat your assignment, right? I mean, you know what I mean. I mean, you don't even have a dog, right? So how come your dog is going to eat it? So don't come up with some excuses, because you are, we are deceiving our own self with those excuses, right? So, I mean, I'm not going to be scratching your back for the assignments. I'm not going to police you for the assignments that, okay, where is your assignment? No, I'm not going to do that. You are an adult. I am an adult, right? So we are all adults here. So I tell you to do something, so you take it as a responsibility upon yourself and do that. Because if you do it, I'm not going to get more money. I'm not going to get anything, but I'm asking you to do it for your sake. Because when you, trust me, when you complete an assignment, it gives you an inner confidence, right? And a positive energy it's going to give you. That'll boost your confidence. That'll make you feel not only proud of yourself, but it'll be how can I say it? It'll make you much more confident to take the interviews, and you will be doing good in the interviews. If you're not confident enough, then you will, even though you want to get that job, but then you will say or do something which might work against you. So bottom line, I've taken much of the time stressing on this, but it was important that I address that, so that's why I kept pounding on it. And do your assignments, complete your assignments, do your assignments. That is, again, one more time, repeating for the 14th time, that it will give you lot of help in your interviews and at your work. Because if you have done all of this, and if you have to do test a web service, and that is going to fetch the data, parameterization, fetch the data from an external, you copy paste this code. Because you have already done that, you copy paste the code, and the only couple of places you're going to change that. What are the places you're going to change that? Connection string. Because I am hosting my database on a server in London. But your server, when you're going to work for this company, probably it's not in London, it is someplace else. So you need to know how to change the connection string, right? So if you have understood the whole concept, then you can literally copy paste my code, the code which we are going to write here. You can keep it as your helper functions, copy paste, and then you will shine like a star in this company where you will be working. So pay attention, ask questions, right? Make some noise. At the end of this, I want you to be a happy camper, right? Because I want you to be successful. All right. Okay. Somebody had raised their hand, so I don't know if there is a question. Anjali, I find that your hand is raised, so I don't know if you have a question, but I'm gonna unmute you anyhow. Let you ask a question if you have any question. Go ahead. Going once, going twice. Gone. She doesn't have a question. I guess the hand was raised because of some error. Okay. Alrighty. So let us move on and let us talk about a few things in here. So this was just a glimpse of what is coming as far as the coding is concerned, and then we will be doing a lot of testing. So okay, now let me do some theory here. Let me do some theory, some talking. Usually I don't do much of theory except for day one, where I have to lay out the plot. I have to give you the foundation of what exactly we are getting into. The whole purpose of all of us being here is to become masters of testing web service. Now, the question is, what is a web service? What the heck is a web service? The way I'm going to explain you is not going into the technical jargon of reading the definition of a web service from a book. I would not do that. I would never do that. For that, you have, Wikipedia. You could bring up your screen. You could type what is a web service. You would get like hundreds of links in there where they will talk about what is a web service. So at least I am not going to do that. So I will talk to you as a layman, and I will try to explain you what is a web service. And then you and I, we can talk a little bit more, taking specific examples. If you want to talk about something at work and want to question me or want to ask me a few things about it, feel free, right? Okay, so this is what we're going to be doing, a web service, because we are going to test a web service. So what is a web service? What is a web service? Now, in software developers, what they do, right? What is a developer? A developer basically is somebody who writes some code, right? And that code, what does that code do? That performs and completes a particular task for which it has been written. So let's say there is this website. There is this website. On this website, you come in to this website, and then when you log into any website, doesn't matter. You name this website. I'm not going to name it. Any website. There is on this website. There is something here, which is you might have guessed what it is. So enter your username, enter your password, and this is sign on or whatever. So you come in here, you enter your Johnny, and then your password, right? And you click on that. Once you click on that, it is going to take you to another page, right? It takes you to another page where it might say that sorry, the username and password did not match, right? This is English, by the way, right? I mean, it doesn't matter, right? I mean, I'm reading it out loud to you, and this is not anything significant. So when it is something which is very important, I can write good. I can say sorry, right? So this is better compared to that, right? So right now it is not that important, so I'm just scribbling whatever I could. So let's say you come to a page where it says, sorry, the username and password did not match, right? And then it gives you the option of, if you're a new user, register new user, register here, or click here, go back, something like that, right? When you click here, you come back again and try again, maybe try again, something like that, or new user. So this in itself, this is some functionality, right? This is some functionality. The developer had written some code in here that a page will have this box. There's so many other things. Maybe there are some other pictures here or whatever is going on here that is not of significance. My focus is here that a developer had created a user interface here, a UI, a user interface with two boxes and a button, and then he had written some code. The code is when you basically go and click. When you click on some button, so the button is BTN sign on, let's say. When you click on that button, he wants to take this and then go and then do something. Do what? Maybe check for this against inside a database and see if he's a member or not. If he's a member, it is going to come back and give him access to the rest of the website. If not, it will redirect to this page. So he has written some code, right? He's written that code. That code which he has written, that is specific to this site, right? Now let's say let's say, and bear with me when I'm talking about these things, you will see some correlation of what I'm trying to do in here. Let's say when he logs in, and when he logs in, he's searching now. So he comes in and then he says, I'm going to search, and then he does what? Let's say he puts in here, I'm planning to go from let's say JFK to Munich in Germany. So let's say he puts in this and this, and then he selects the calendar, and then he says July 14th 2013, and coming back July 30th 2013, and then adults and whatever, and then you click on that. Right now, I will name the website. Let's say the website is priceline.com. Right? So I want to try, I want to bid, I want to see if I could go and find a cheap rate going from JFK to Munich in Germany on this date and 2 people and all that. So when I do that, now think about it. What does Priceline do? I mean, I'm taking Priceline as an example, right? As an example, I have no affinity, I have no nothing to do with Priceline. Just I'm giving it as an example. What is Priceline? What do they do? Priceline is more like a travel site where they you can find flights, right? You can find hotel rooms, right? You can find cruises, right? You can find vacation packages and all that. Now, do you think Priceline owns any of the airlines? Do they own, is Priceline owning American Airlines, U.S. Airways, Delta, United, whatever? These are American airlines. You have so many airlines in the world, I don't even, Air India and Jet Airways and God knows what other airlines there are. So they don't own nothing. Now, they are also offering you to book a room in different hotels. So do they own Marriott or Hilton or Radisson? Or no, they don't own nothing. So what is Priceline? Priceline is nothing but it's like a broker. I mean, in a very rude language, that's what they are. They are like a broker. I mean, what is the job of a broker? To connect somebody who needs something with somebody who could provide something, right? So who is somebody who needs something? It is me, right? I mean, I need to get this plane ticket, right? I could have gone to American Airline and try that. And if I go to American Airline, I will get only American Airlines. Now, I don't know if Air France is giving me better rates. By the way, if somebody is trying to go to Europe, because I was doing a lot of research, and I found out like the last week of August, you get significant discounts if you go in the last week. You would say that what kind of information is that? We are supposed to do a SoapUI class and you are giving us the information of cheap tickets in the month of August. Yeah, I'm just trying to give you some idea. So basically Air France is offering, let's say $800, right? $900 in the month of August. In the month of July, Air France would do it $1,500, right? Okay, now why Air France? Why am I talking about Air France? Because I never went to Air France website. I went to this Priceline or the Hotwire or Travelocity. So these are brokers, and they are connected. They are connected to multiple airlines. So let's say they are connected to United. They are connected to Continental and United, I guess they're the same right now. They are connected to American, and then they are American Airlines. They are connected to Air France, and they are connected to all of these, right? Okay, the idea here is whenever a user comes in, makes a query, that query is sent across to all of their partners, all of the partners of Priceline. And now that query is packaged, and sent across to United. That query is packaged and sent across to this, to this, to this, to this, and to all of them. And so we send, let's say we meaning, let's say you and I, we are all working for Priceline. So Priceline is sending this information. What information? JFK. JFK is what? This is the depart airport, and this is the arrive airport. This is the depart date, and this is the arrival date, and this is the number of adults, right? And this is the number of kids, let's say, and yada yada yada, right? So a lot of information. So main information is departing airport, arriving airport, departing date, arriving date, and time maybe, and the number of adults, right? And that's what we are sending it across. And now United will take this information, send it to their database, and check if we have any flights going from JFK to Munich, and then on this date, and whatever results they will send the results back again to Priceline, right? So now this thing which is sending some information and receiving some information, right? That process, it is happening from Priceline to United, from Priceline to Continental, from Priceline to American, to Air France, to any airline you give. If they are flying into Munich, then that airline. All right. Okay. So basically, the idea here is information is being passed between two systems, right? This is system A, Priceline. This is system B, let's say American Airlines. So now there is some information which is going between these two systems. So the information which is going from this system is being received by this, it is being processed, and the results are coming back in here, right? So now when we send something in here, that is basically called the request, right? And request is sent to who? To this server, right? So there is a server. On a server, there is some code here, some code. A programmer has written some code, right? That code is going to take this request. That code takes the request, and then it will give you back, it will return you something called a response, right? So this code is nothing but, it is a service. It is a service which will work over the web. So it is a web service. So what does a web service do? It is nothing but it is some code. Depending on what the business is about airline, so the code will be something to do with the airline. So the information which we need is basically the departing airport, the arriving airport, the date of travel, the date of return, number of adults. That's the information this code needs. So that is that web service, right? So any web service, right, depending on the business, if it is a hotel, right, then we need what? I mean, if it is a hotel, I don't need the departing airport or arriving airport. I need basically, if you're looking for a room in a hotel, you basically need what? The date. What date to what date? How many people, what kind of bed, double bed, queen's bed, king bed, this bed, that bed, right? And, stuff like that. So the question depends on what kind of, web service it is. But behind the scenes, the concept remains the same. It is some code. It is some code which is going to receive the data in the form of a request. And then it is going to work upon that data and respond back with some more data. So now the question is, a web service needs data to be passed in the form of a request, and it will return some response. Okay, so now the question is, a web service A web service, in order for a web service to work, we have to send a request and the web service will send you the response. Now the question is, does all the web service work this way? Right? Now that depends on what kind of web services there are. There are something called, this web service can be a SOAP web service. And then there is a web service that can be a REST web service. Now, depending on what kind of a web service it is, whether it is a SOAP web service or whether it is a REST web service, we might have to send the data in a specific manner. So now, let me just give you an example of, let's say, this web service, let's say, is a SOAP web service. Now, what do you mean by SOAP web service? What do you mean by SOAP web service? SOAP stands for Simple, right, Object Access Protocol, right? Okay, simple Object Access Protocol. So what is this? What is SOAP? What the heck is SOAP, right? Okay, basically what SOAP is, right, what happens is, when you are sending the data, you are sending the data from a client, right? So this is your machine. From your machine, you are making a request. When you make a request, the request goes over the internet. It goes to the server, and in the server, it will do whatever it is, and then brings back the response, and you will see the response in the next page, right? And you're happy that, okay, you put in JFK to Munich on this date, that date, and here you see the result. What you are interested in, believe it or not, this is exactly what we are all interested in. It is, okay, 1497. And so you are not happy. 1490 is $1,500 per person I have to give to go to Europe, just a flight. Right? So you are trying something more now. What next you are trying? Okay, let me see if I change the date. So you are changing the date, right? So you are changing the date, and now you are sending it again. You're sending it again. It will come back again. This time you see $786, let's say, and you are like happy. You're very happy. Let me book it, right? So the idea here is, you are sending something. It is sending something back, and if you like what you receive, you will do some business with it. All right. Okay. So now, where do we as the web service tester fit into all of this? Right? What do we have to do with this? How can we do the testing and all that? Basically, what happens is, every time, two businesses, they are communicating, they are sending the data back and forth. We got to make sure, before they go into the production, we got to make sure that the web service is fully functional. Not only functional from a functional testing point of view, but also later on from a load testing point of view also, we have to do some testing. So let's focus on the functional testing first, right? So for the functional testing, when the web developer creates that web service, we have to understand that the web service needs to be web service. This is web service. That web service needs to be deployed. Right? Needs to be deployed, or in other words, it needs to be hosted. Right? It needs to be hosted. It needs to be deployed. So where do you deploy? Means that, okay, I will create web services. I will be showing you. We have created, as a part of this course, I'll even wear the hat of a developer, and I will create some web services. When I create the web services, these web services are sitting on my machine, on my laptop. I'm sitting right now in New Jersey, right? So, but some of you guys probably are in Australia. Some of you are in London. And we had a student, and I always bring his name all the time, because he was from South Korea. I had only one student from South Korea, and I don't know, how come he took these courses. And I always take his example. So the point here is, we have people all over the world, right, taking. So if I create a web service, if I create this web service, and if I keep it on my machine, how are they going to access this web service? They cannot. Right? So I have to deploy this web service. So when the developer creates a web service, he has to create that web service, and he has to deploy that web service. So deployment is nothing but making the web service usable, so that people can start using that web service. So I will go through the process of I will share with you the process of deployment and how do you deploy, how can you make sure that a web service is functional. So here it is. So let's say this is some code, some code which I've created, some web service, right? Which I will walk you through down the road. I'll walk you through as how to do that. So once we create this web service, I will be deploying this web service. I'll be hosting this web service on our server, and my server is in California. So I will deploy this. So I will show you how to deploy that web service. Once it is deployed, once it is all the files are sitting on that server in California, then my users all over the world, they will be, this guy is in Australia, this guy is in New Zealand, and this guy is in UK, and a lot of our own folks in USA, let's say Dallas, and let's say Boston, and wherever, right? So you all will be using this web service. You all will be using this web service. How will you be using this web service, right? You will bring a tool. You will bring a tool. That tool is called the SoapUI tool. So from the SoapUI tool, you will be connecting to this web service, right? So in order to connect, so that you can do your exercises and all that by testing this web service, you have to connect to this web service, right? In order to connect to that web service, if you have to call me, right? You have a phone in your hand. I have a phone in my hand. You have to call me. What do you need? What do you need? You would say that, it will help if you give me your number, right? Exactly. So the web service is there. You have a desire to test it. But how can you test it? I have to give you what is called the A. What do you mean by A? I have to give you the address of where the web service is. Where the web service is. So whenever you are testing a web service, you need to know the address of the web service. Apart from the address of the web service, I have to give you the B of the web service. You say, what is B? Well, what is this ABC you're talking about? Yeah, we usually use the word ABC. Like, what is this ABC? I don't even know the ABCs of anything, right? So this ABC is not necessarily in that way I'm using. They have a meaning. If you want to test a web service, you got to be knowing the ABCs of the web service. What are the ABCs? A stands for address, B stands for binding, and C stands for the contract of the web service. So you have to know the ABCs of the web service. So A stands for address, B for binding, C for contract. Address part, I kind of like understand, Irfan, what do you mean by address? Because maybe it is hosted on www.ebay.com. So I am testing the eBay website, so the web service. So that could be the address. That I understand. What is this binding and contract? What is this? Can you explain what is this binding and contract? Absolutely. I will tell you what is binding and contract. But before we go into the binding and contract, so if I have to give you the phone number, my phone number, right? I can text you. I can email you, right? So there are different ways of doing that. So if I text you, let's say the number which you have given me is your home phone number, and I'm trying to text you. You will never receive that text, right? So there is no standard way of communication, right? If I have to give you my phone number, it is better if you are on the phone, I'm on the phone, and I give you the phone number. I say that it is 732-998-665, and then you take it down, right? So there must be a way of communication. So the way for us to know the ABCs of a web service is through a document, and that document is called WSDL. Now you are like, what the heck, man? I mean, I came here to learn web service testing. You are talking about ABC, WSDL. What is this? I mean, we have to know these things, right? We have to know what is a WSDL. What is a WSDL? What does a WSDL consist in it? Why it is important for us before even we do anything with a web service. We have to. This is the most important thing which we need to have in order to test a web service. I need to have a WSDL. I need to have a web service description language document, right? So the question is, what does the document has in it, right? It has at least, I mean, for time being, bear with me when I say that it has ABCs in it, right? So in WSDL, you have the address, you have the binding and the contract. I don't even know what is binding and contract, you say. So the next topic is I will quickly introduce you to binding and contract, and then still come back and start talking about WSDL. Now on day one, it is as big of a challenge for me as it is for you to present it in such a way that at the end of the session you should not go home. You are home already, meaning that you should not end this session with, I don't know what he was talking about. He was just like 2 hours. You should go with, aha, now I know what a web service is. So that is where I am going with on day one, with my different ways of trying to make you understand, and that has nothing too technical in it. I am not giving you any specific definitions of a WSDL or a binding or a I just try to give you enough so that you have an idea of these things, and as we progress in time, as we go to the next class and the next class and the next class, things will start to become very clear. And at the end of this course, you will be a master of web services, and that is my guarantee and my promise to you. If in return, if you promise that you will do the assignments which I tell you to do, if you promise me that you will do the assignments, if you tie your dog and don't let your dog eat your assignments, right, then it is going to be a successful affair between you and me at the end of this 4 sessions, right? Or 8 sessions rather, 4 weeks. All right. Okay. I will pause here so that I can have a sip of water, and meanwhile that should give you a chance to ask me some questions. So while I have a sip of water, ask me some questions. Okay. Thank you. Okay. No questions? I am surprised. Come on. You guys can do better. You are there, right? I hope you guys are there. Yashoda is asking a question. The web services which you have shown are written by a developer or a tester. 18 years, Yashoda, I've been doing this stuff, right? So everything which you will see here will be built by me because, I do the development, and I do basically my daytime job is I work as an architect. I do SharePoint. I'm a SharePoint architect. That's what I do. So we do a lot of development. So I do a lot of development. So 100% of the web services which are hosted at TrainingRite.com and TrainingRite.net are written by me. And these are some of the web services are pretty powerful in the sense that they integrate with Google and Twitter and so many other things. So as we go ahead in this course, you'll find that I will be showing you some code, but you don't really need to see the code, right? Because the idea here is a tester is a tester. I mean, my life is I'm a developer, I'm a programmer, I'm an architect, so that's what I decided to do. And then I like teaching, so I teach, and I do testing and all that. But that's my life. But if my full-time job is a tester, I need not know anything about coding of a web service. I need to know the coding for testing. That I need to know. So this is that coding for testing. This one, there is no escape. We have to write this code. There is no escape in that, right? So we have to learn how to write this code. And as you will see me showing you some more in here. Let me switch some workspaces here to show you. Give me a second. Workspace, let's say Groovy, right? See here, so that's another code, right, which we have to learn, right? So in it, I don't know if you can see this code very quickly, which we have to go and then we have to learn. Usually, you know, from a tester's point of view, because we are going to be testers. We are going to be automated testers. That's what we are going to be, right? Automated web service testers. That's our title. So when the word automation comes, that means that we have to do some coding, right? Now, depending on what tool we are using, we have to learn that coding. So let's say if it was Selenium, right? If it was Selenium, then I have to know Java. If it is, let's say, QTP, right? I need to know VB scripting. If it is SoapUI, then I need to know Groovy, right? If it is JMeter, then I need to know Bean Shell scripting. If it is load runner, then I need to know C programming, right? If it is now, I'll finish it off here. If we are doing coded UI, which is the Microsoft tool, right, with TFS, so this is another course which we are offering very soon. Here you can use C#.NET as the so now the question is, you are at least at this point, I don't know how many years of experience you guys have and whatnot. You probably might not be knowing all of these tools. I mean, I've been doing it for 18 years, right? So you know, I have been working with different tools and all that. And the only thing is, I have a passion for you know, teaching, and because it's in my blood. My parents were professors back in India, and you know, so I also taught at university. So I kind of like you know, teaching a little bit. So that's why I look for different things and all that. So I teach. So if, let's say, if you and I, we are you know, we are testers. So we would either be focusing on that or that or that, you know, 2-3 tools. So, and then we need to know basic the coding skills for these things. So generally, if you are going to be a tester, from a tester's perspective, generally, what do we need to know? What do we need to know if you are an automated tester? Basically, if you are an automated tester, and I keep saying this in every course, you don't try to compare yourself to a programmer or to a developer. Their job is to develop something, to create something. Your job and my job as a tester is to also create automated scripts. But we are not comparing ourselves with them that they are developing applications. We are developing scripts to test those applications. So our focus should be more on the following topics. We should know the variables. We should know how to create variables. We should know how to use arrays. We should know how to use functions. We should know how to use you know, conditional logic, right? We should know conditional logic in terms of if statements, right? How do you write if statements? We should know. We should know as how to use loops, right? And apart from all this, we should also know as how to create, or how to at least understand something called helper functions. These helper functions, what they will do is, you will write them, you create these helper functions once, right? You create them once, and then you can kind of like reuse them forever. So these are helper functions, are also referred to as reusable functions. So reusable functions are something like to connect to a database or to connect to Excel. So you just write it once for one project. Keep it in your flash drive. Keep it somewhere safe, so that if you go to some other project, if there they have to connect to a database, guess what? Unless you want to extend the project, which everybody has done this. If you're getting $65, $70 per hour, and if they are not too crazy about ending the project, then you will start to like write the program, you will like start typing it. But if somebody puts a gun right to your head and say that, please create this test scripts like tomorrow, you will say, why tomorrow? I'll give it to you in like 2 hours. And then boom, 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 you just create it, give it to them in 2 hours. They would be kissing you like crazy, right? So the whole idea here is you have to understand, these things from a tester's perspective. What are variables, arrays, functions, conditional logic with if statements, loops like for loop, do loops, right? And some helper functions. These helper functions are reusable functions to connect to either to Excel, or to databases. So just keep them ready with you. You go to any project. This is exactly what you need to do. In the project, they will, before you go to the project, in the interview, they'll be asking you, what did you do in your previous project? Okay, tell me, because, whatever your name is, they'll say that, oh, your resume is pretty impressive. Thank you for coming for this interview. Can you talk to us a little bit about what did you do in your previous project? Well, so now you have about a good, believe it or not, you have a good like 8 to 10 minutes to fill in, right? So you should be able to talk about, these things which we are going to do in the 8 classes. So for some of you guys who have taken a course with me in the previous classes, you will find me repeating some of the things because you kind of like have seen this movie in the past. So, so you might see that, okay, this part is like repeated. But I try to make a point to somebody who is brand new here, joining us for the first time. The art of taking an interview, passing an interview, you have to master that. And the way you can master that is simple rules you have to follow. And sometime in this course, I'll be talking to you about what are those rules where you will come out, very successful. When you go in a meeting, when you go in a, interview, you will be able to impress people. There are things which you have to practice, right? There are things which you have to practice. If you, if somebody puts me into, God forbid, into an ER and give me the scissors and give me, all those tools and say that this patient is dying, operate on him, I would not be able to do a thing because that's not my area. That's not my expertise. That's not my, but let's say if I have taken some formal training in it, I can at least extend that patient's life probably by, 5 minutes. And by that time, maybe the surgeon will come down. He's in the elevator. I don't know. I mean, you know what I mean. I mean, so you have to practice. You have to go through certain training. You have to, know certain things before you face that interview. And that is what we are going to do in this course, in this 8 classes. That is exactly what we are going to focus. Even though, today I was trying to take you everywhere. I mean, I started off showing you the tool. Then I talked about something about the web services. Then I talked about the ABCs of that. Then I talked about the WSDL. Then I came in here. Then I showed you. So I'm like all over on day 1, right? Because there is a purpose for it, so that you have an idea of where we are going, what we are getting into and all that. So that was the purpose of that. Okay, now that you have an idea of when it comes to programming, these are the things which we have to be covering. When we cover these things in SoapUI or in Selenium or in QTP or in basically the the syntax is going to be different. The concept or the logic remains the same. A variable is a variable, whether it is created in VB-script, in QTP, or in SoapUI, or in Selenium, or in LoadRunner. A variable is a variable. It is a storage. It is going to hold some data. Likewise, you have arrays and functions and all that. So we're going to be talking about those things. Okay, now let us try to come up with a scenario where we have been asked to test a web service. So let's say they hire you at Merrill Lynch, right? Why Merrill Lynch? Well, it has to be some name. So I'm just using Merrill Lynch as an example, right? Because I was saying in one of the earlier classes, like 2 years back, I just gave an example, Merrill Lynch. One of the students was upset, said, why Merrill Lynch? Well, that's an example. It's an example. Don't get upset. I mean, if you have worked for Merrill Lynch and you had a bad time there, so don't be upset with me. I mean, okay, let's not talk about Merrill Lynch. Let's talk about, I don't know what. I mean, you know, some other company like TD Ameritrade or E-Trade, right? You're talking about E-Trade, right? So the business does not matter. It could be anything. What is an E-Trade? What is it? You all have traded stocks. Most of you guys have, you know, made money or lost money in stocks and all that, right? So if you want to do your own trading, stock buying and stock selling, these days you can do it. When I was growing up, there was nothing like that because there was no internet, right? So my father did not enjoy what I enjoy today. I mean, you know, sometimes I lose money, you know, but I'm like, okay, it's an experience. And my father is like, I don't know what you're doing. You are glued in front of the computer for hours, and the only thing I see is E-Trade. And nothing is moving. You don't even click on anything, but then you're watching. So, I mean, he doesn't know that. But you just sitting there in front of it, you enjoy it, right? Because you see the your stocks which you bought, they're going up, right? And every hour they are going up. Sometimes, like, you come back in a very bad mood. You fight with your family, with your friends. You're yelling and all that. You know that the stock had gone down significantly, a big time. You have lost, right? Anyway, so you could be working for E-Trade. If you're working for E-Trade, now just to give you an example, simple example, you come to E-Trade and then you will, after you log in, you will select a stock, let's say AOL, right? This is the symbol of the stock AOL. And this is the quantity. You want to buy 1,000 stocks of AOL, right? And this is the current price of that. The current price of AOL right now, let's say, is $32.33, right? And you have another one which is buy or sell. So you select a buy and then you click on a button. Just think about it. Tell me right now, if you have any experience in trading or in stock, when you click on this button, buy now, what happens? Basically, it is going to take this, right? Sends it to wherever AOL trades. AOL, is that a NASDAQ exchange? Or is that a Dow, right? Is that a Chicago Board of, I mean, what is this? So every stock is traded on a particular exchange. So AOL, being a technical stock, it is basically traded on NASDAQ. I could be wrong, but basically that's what it is, right? Any technical is NASDAQ. So all this information will be sent to the servers on NASDAQ. And what do you think there is? There is a web service. So the web service will see this as a request, So in the request, what do you think this web service will work on your request? If the request is well formed, meaning that I get a proper request. If you send me AOL, if you send me, let's say, 0 stocks of, you want to buy 0 stocks. I mean, first of all, E-Trade would be crazy to send this information to NASDAQ to buy 0 stocks. They will stop right here. It won't even travel to NASDAQ. It will stop right here. That is called validation. So a developer has to do a good validation of the data which is going on to a web service. But let's say this is the first build. And the web developer, the web service developer, he has not done any validation on the data. So you are even letting 0 to come here. So when the 0 is going, and before it goes into the production for the general public to use, even NASDAQ will have their test servers, right? So when you send the data, let's say if 0 is going there, so it has to send you some data back, right? Let's take a good number, 1,000. You are sending AOL, you want to buy 1,000 stocks of AOL at 32.33. When you go there, it is a happy path scenario. Happy path scenario means that everything good. Stock is AOL, number of stocks is 1,000, buy transaction is buy, and then that's all good information. You come, so the web service does whatever it does, and it sends the response. In the response, what do you expect as the response? Just tell me, what do you expect as the response? What do you expect? Do you expect the response as bananas? You would be like, what the heck? I am wanting to buy AOL and it is sending me bananas. You're like, something wrong, right? So you know what is expected as a response from the web service. If you see a banana there, I mean, you know, you are not happy. In this case, you are not happy. In this case, if you are buying bananas and you see your order is a success, banana on the way, you're happy seeing banana there. So expected results. So when you send a request, you get the response. So now let us talk about the request. Let's talk about the request in a slight technical way. Let's talk about the request. Web services comes in two forms. Web services are SOAP-based web services or REST-based web services. Till 5th class, I will not talk about REST. Till 5th class, no REST, no REST, right? No REST services till 5th class. When we get into 5th class, we'll talk about REST. Now, if you are in a rush, if you are in a hurry, you are joining this training for REST web services, I will say that please go ahead, get this training. We will give you the videos. You start off on the 5th day and you will see everything, the rest. This training, this for somebody who is badly in need of learning this and you need it like yesterday, right? Meaning that important it is that you should have this knowledge. You can literally have this complete knowledge. You have complete idea about how everything is done within 16 hours, because the whole course is 16 hours. If you have 2 or 3 or 4 cups of coffees and don't sleep for 16 hours, right, you will have the whole course. You can see the whole course, right, what we are doing and all that. How much of it you will get it or not, that's a different story, but at least you have the whole thing. You can see the whole movie, right? It's not like we have to make the movie. The movie is already ready because we made it in the previous batch. I made it in January, in February, in March, in April. You can take any one of those and then watch that and you will get to know the results, whether the Titanic went down or it is still floating, right? You will get to know. So basically, you know, you will be able to see, you don't really have to wait for the course to go and get completed for you to learn. You can buy the videos, right, and do it. But anyways, so REST services we will not be dealing till the 5th day. So let us think that we are dealing with the SOAP. People don't even say it as a SOAP website. They just call it as a web service. They just call it. So it is understood that web services are SOAP web services. Now, in the past year or so, this REST started picking up. And I'll tell you the reason why REST started picking up on day 5. Right? Again, if you're curious enough, if you're really curious to know it, jump onto day 5 and watch the video, you'll get to know. So usually, most of the web services are SOAP web services. So what is a SOAP web service? Okay, here it is. Taking the example of E-Trade, right? The thing which we have to send is the stock, AOL, right? Quantity. So this is the stock symbol, right? And this is the quantity. Quantity is 1,000, right? What else? Transaction is either buy, right? If I already have 1,000 stocks of AOL, they are tanking, they are going down. I bought it when it is like $42. Now it is like almost $32. I'm like, it's so much of loss already. So if I want to sell it, if I don't want to, so I could do a sell. It need not be buying more. I could be, if I want to do a dollar cost average, and then if I want to, okay, as it is going down, I will buy more and more so that when it comes up, I'll make more money. I can do that. In that case, I'm buying it, right? So you can buy or sell. You cannot do anything. You have, in the Western world these days, there used to be like a man and a woman. That's what I knew. I mean, for the past 5,000 years, this world has been around, I guess. It was just man and woman. And now all of a sudden, Obama started legalizing. So there is another one. So I don't know, down the road, there is a buy and a sale. I don't know if there is going to be a third one, but that's not the point at this time. So let's deal about buy and sell. So this is a transaction. So symbol is AOL, and this quantity, transaction. What else do you need? Probably you need like what time of the day this operation this transaction was sent across. Maybe they want to know your account number. Maybe they don't, because the main things which are needed is what you need to pack. Or this NASDAQ says that, hey, you have to give me the symbol, the quantity, the transaction, the time, the date, your father's name, your social security, your this. I don't know what they need, right? Now, I'm not trying to make a joke of it. There is a reason I'm saying these things. The reason I'm saying this is, now, who will dictate? Who will say that what needs to be sent here, right? Who's going to make that decision, right? Here it is. So what happens is, in the binding and in the contract, so far we knew about address, right? You were happy about the address because I told you what it is. Now let's talk about the binding and the contract. What is the contract between you and me? You paid me whatever you paid me. What is the contract? The contract is I have to deliver 16 hours of live training teaching you SoapUI. I can be coming here for 16 hours. And if I start to talk about some gibberish stuff, that is not the contract. The contract is, you need something, I have to supply you that, right? So the contract is SoapUI. So even if I start to talk about something which is much more important, if I give you the lessons of life, let's say, right? You would say that, no, teach me SoapUI, because that's the contract, that's what I have paid you for, right? So likewise, there is a contract between the provider. So this is the provider of the web service and the consumer. So there's a consumer, there's a provider, right? So there's a consumer and then there's a provider. So in case of a web service, there is a provider of a web service, there is a consumer of a web service, and there is a contract between the provider and the consumer. And in the contract, we will talk about what kind of binding, right, we will be using, right? Okay, so all of this is where? The information of all of this is where? So if tomorrow, if you have to test a web service, you want to know about the address, and you want to know, like, contract, let's say, is what do I have to send, right? What does a consumer have to send the information to the provider, right? So let's say that's the information in the contract and in the binding. So who gives me all that information? Where is that information? That information is in a document called WSDL, Web Service Description Language, right? Okay, now we have nothing to do with E-Trade, but I have to give you some example. I started off with Priceline, then I gave you some example of American Airlines, this and that. Then now I went into E-Trade. So I have to give you some example. So let's keep working on this E-Trade, and let's say that if I have to send the data to the NASDAQ server, right? NASDAQ server. The way the data goes between point A and point B, between a consumer
and the provider, the way the data travels is in the form of a SOAP envelope. So the data, if you are sending some, long time back we used to send pictures from here to whoever back in India. I originally come from India. So I used to send the pictures because I came here like 22, 23 years before, when I was almost a kid. So at that time we used to send the pictures, like World Trade Center, we go up there, take some pictures, we send. So we used to put it in an envelope and put the name from and to, and then send it, and it's a different story that before the envelope could reach my house for my parents to see it, or our family, the postman would open and see it. But that is India, so things like that happen. But here, I guess, the mailman here doesn't open your mail, but in India they open the mail. They want to see what you have inside it. Well, but anyways, so let's say if you are following the protocol, and let's say there is not going to be any hacker who can open so see, I want to make a point. So there will be hackers who can open this envelope and see what you are sending, and what you are sending in there, AOL, and how many, 1,000, and you are going to buy. If a hacker gets in, he might change this AOL to his own, whoever had paid him, right? So a company like Zimbabwe, Obama, like, let's say like Zimbabwe is a company. So Zimbabwe company had hired a hacker, and they say that if somebody is sending this transaction on NASDAQ, take out this AOL and put like Zimbabwe, right? And then take this 10,000. And then, so now this comes here. Zimbabwe is a stock, so NASDAQ will see everything right, and NASDAQ will buy that and send it here. So we have to also not only send the data from point A to point B, we also have to protect the data, right? We have to protect so that comes in the security. We'll talk about that security. Right now, let's not worry about the security. Let's talk about how happy path scenario, everything good, no hacker in between. No, the postman, we used to call him as a postman in India. Let's hope and pray that the postman is a good, reliable person. He's not going to sneak into our package. So how does the information flow from point A to point B? Basically, the data goes in the form of a SOAP envelope. So here it is. So here is from this system, the data is going to go to that system, right? Data goes in this SOAP envelope, right? Okay, so the data actually is what? The data is about AOL, correct? And 1,000, correct? And buy, right? Okay, now what happens is, if I send this to the server, the server basically will not be able to, because AOL to you and to me is American online company, right? But to a computer, it doesn't know. So we have to say that it is a symbol, and we have to say end of symbol. So what is this? AOL was some data. Now AOL has to be packaged, that data has to be sent as an XML data. So whenever the data is going to a web service, the data has to be packaged in an envelope, and that packaging is done by using a language called XML, right? So now AOL, now you know that, now here they know that the symbol which we have to do what? The transaction is end of transaction, right? And this is quantity, and this is quantity. So now this data makes sense. AOL 1,000 buy. So they will say that AOL is a symbol, 1,000 is a quantity, and this buy, it is a transaction, type of transaction, right, is a buy. So now this data is much more meaningful. So in web service testing, in web services, for a web service to understand the request which is coming, the request has to come in the form of an XML, right? Okay, so now it will take the request and then it will send it and it will do whatever it has to, and then it will come back with a confirmation number. 12347,896 is your transaction number, right? Unless, you know, you send your money to Madoff, right? The guy who is sitting in a jail for 150 years now. I mean, he never, I mean, I shouldn't be laughing because, you know, I mean, I could have given my money to him. So a lot of people, they gave their money to him. And I happen to know one of my bosses who lost a significant amount of money because he invested through that Ponzi scheme. So he gave it to Madoff, and then Madoff never sent the money to the exchange. He used to keep the money all in his own pockets, and then he used to come up with this transaction number and then send a statement to the customer that, oh, your money was like growing, whatever. But anyways, we digress, right? So let's come back and talk about this. So the point which I want to make here is in SoapUI, you have when you are testing a web service, you need to know that the data is passing as XML, and that XML is going into what is called a SOAP envelope. Now you have to understand that when the data goes, right, that is a request, and when the data comes, that is a response. So now when you have to test a request and a response, when you come in here and just for the heck of it here, if I bring it up, see in here, without going into the details, because tomorrow is when I will start the actual testing of the web service. Now, just look at it, right? You know, don't go crazy, just look at this, right? When you see something, this is XML. So see that it says that it is an envelope, SOAP envelope. And in there is something called a header, which I did not talk to you right now because I did not want it to introduce so many things at the same time. So this is, you know, basically when you have this is the envelope, you put your from here, right? You put your to here, to from right? And you put your stamp here, right? Whatever stamp you put in here, and then inside here you can put a check or you can put anything. So the outside information, right, that is represented in the form of a header, right? The inside information, that is represented in the form of a body, and to be precise, the inside information, let's say if this is a picture, right? Or it could be a check, or it could be an invoice, or it could be like a contract, a marriage contract. Who cares what the heck is going in there, right? Whatever it is, that is basically referred to as payload. Now, look at the terms which we have used so far, right? Address binding contract, WSDL, WSDL, payload, SOAP envelope, header, body, XML, right? So request, response, right? So these things now, if you watch this video, today's video was not at all technical. This lesson was not at all technical. But I think this is my thinking. I don't know if you agree with me or not. I think for at least for some of you, if not for most of you, when you enter into this session at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and there are still 10 more minutes for this session to be over, I think from that point when you enter to the point you will be leaving, I think this is my understanding. I don't know whether you will agree with me or not. I think you might have increased your knowledge a little bit, maybe 0.125%, maybe 1%, not even 1%, less than 1, but you have learned something. This is my idea on day one, because day one I usually don't give out like so much of information, but you have general idea so far. Now, starting from day 2 onwards, you will be doing a lot of stuff. You will be doing testing. You will be getting into coding. Will be getting into a lot of stuff. But my understanding is you might have gotten something. Now, let's say if I was sitting on the other side, if I were you, I would say I would at least respond to that. I'll say yes, I learned it. I would say, oh, come on, I did not do it. So if you respond either way, that will, if not for anything, that will just say something that you guys have not ran away to the bar, that you are still there, right? So, at least something. Okay, anyways, let's come back. We got still another 10 more minutes, so let's make the best out of those 10 minutes. Okay, coming back to now the payload. What is the payload? Payload is nothing but the actual data, the actual content which is going. So the payload sits inside the body. The body sits inside the envelope, and inside the envelope you have a header, right? With that understanding, let's try and understand this piece of XML, right? It is a request. It is a request. Inside a request, there is going to be an envelope. This is the envelope. We'll talk about the namespaces tomorrow, XML namespace and all that. I'm going to talk to you about that in the next class, right? But this is an envelope. Inside the envelope, if you have the envelope, open envelope, this is the close envelope, right? Close envelope. Okay. Inside the envelope, you have the header information. Right now, there is nothing in there. Then there is body. If you open a body, you have to close a body. This is the closing of the body. So far, this is fine. This part and the closing of that part is fine. The real meat is here, right? The real core or the main dish is this, right? What is this? This is nothing but it is the payload. So the way you understand the payload is, this is what data which we are passing. So the data which I'm passing is this data. What is this data? This data is enclosed into something called, if you see here, TEM:\strcc. So forget about this before the colon part. For now, forget about it. So this is nothing but this is the strcc. So short form for credit card number. So this is the credit card number. This is the credit card number. And then a credit card number will have what? Expiration month. So this is the expiration month. There is the expiration year, and the total amount we have to charge, 245. So if you see here, there is a credit card number, there is an expiration, there is an expiration year, and then there is the 245. We are sending this request. We are sending this transaction. It's almost like, paying online on a web page. You go there and you put your credit card number, expiration date, and the amount. And there's also one more thing, the back of the card and things like that, right? So this is as close we can get to processing a credit card. So there is a company called ePay system. So we are testing their web service. In their web service, we have one of the operation they have is the sale operation. One of the requests they have is the sale. And for the sale to work, we have to send the credit card information, expiration month, date, and the amount. So they have hosted this for test purpose. They have hosted this on the server called TrainingRite.net. They hosted it there. Now I am sending this information to them. So sending the information from this tool as a request to the server. So when I send the information, here is the information I am sending. I'm passing this. When I do that, see here it was running here. And now here I got the response. Now let us take a look into the response. What is the response? Sorry, the transaction ID, right, was not approved. So every time we send something, they will treat it as a transaction. So the transaction number was this, but it was not approved. Something wrong probably with the credit card or whatever. Let us go and then change the credit card and put a real credit card. No, I'm not going to pull my wallet out and I'm not going to put a real credit card. I'll just come up with some number. I don't even know if this is a valid one or it could be, I don't even know. But that's what it is we are going to do. So now let us go and let us run this, right? And again, sorry, right? Okay, so now we have to put the right one, right? So I'm going to be taking out from my pocket, right? Please don't look at the, no, come on, I'm just making it up. That's not the right number, just some number, right? Here it is. Wow. So it got, so the idea here is, again, I don't care about, that. I don't care about, what I care about is, I am sending a request, I'm getting a response. I'm sending a request, I'm getting a response. Whether that response is right or wrong, that is for us to look into the expected data and find out what it is. Now the question is, you say that, how did you even do all of this? Because we don't know what you did here. We have no clue what you did. Of course you have no clue. And that is where we're going to start in the next class, where I will take you here to a new workspace. And that new workspace is going to be day 1, right, of the June 2013 batch. So you will say that, okay, whatever you're doing here, in real life, should I put day 1, 2000 batch? I don't do that. What should I put? So that depends on if you are not going to beat me for using Merrill Lynch. So let's say you are working for Merrill Lynch, ML, right? Merrill Lynch. And the project is for Bank of America mortgage, right? And this is build 2, which you're working on. So that is going to be the real name of that. So when you go, we created a workspace. In order to save the workspace, what you do is you create on your file system, you try to create, you organize your workspace. So what you do is you create a folder. So I have created a folder. As you can see, we have different things going on in here, different trainings like .NET, ASP, C#, VB, and we got this GitHub, and then we have this Jenkins, this JIRA, JMeter, manual testing, load runner, Maven, and we got the QTP, Quality Center, Rationale, we got Ruby on Rails, Selenium, SoapUI. Here it is. So we will create a folder called SoapUI. In here I have like arranged day 1, day 2, day 3, what I will cover and whatnot. So I have created a folder called SoapUI Workspaces. So it is not there in the system. You have to create to organize. So create that workspaces. When you expand the workspaces, here I've been teaching this course for many months now. So different batches like April batch, May batch, November batch, and all that. So from here, I am saving in that folder. See here, SoapUI Workspace, I'm saving in that folder. So I'll be saving it as Merrill Lynch, Bank of America mortgage. Merrill Lynch is bought out by Bank of America. So they will be doing those projects. So that's the project which so it's a workspace XML. So I'm saving it in there. So here it is, I save. Now it says that since these projects were open, so it said, hey, do you want to save all these projects before switching? I mean, I did not make any changes to it. So, I mean, they were already saved. So here is what do you see here? This is what do you see here? That's nothing but workspace. Now, are you guessing or are you sure about it? You would say that, wow, that's what I thought you created. No, don't guess. So what I want you to do is, whenever we click on anything here, I mean, here, there's nothing here. But when you click anything, wherever you click, in this area, bottom area, this area, it will tell about what it is, right? It will tell about what it is. So say for example, if I click something on here, right here it will tell that it is a workspace. So I created a workspace. I so far have created a workspace. All right. Okay. Now, what do you do in a workspace? Does clear workspace removes everything that we saved earlier as the workspace? No, basically what it clears it from here, but it doesn't delete anything from your file system, right? So it is there in the file system, meaning that it will be here. It will be here in the file system. All right. Okay. So we created the workspace. What do you do inside a workspace? What we do inside a workspace is you go to file, you create what is called a project, SoapUI project. Let me just clean that stuff which was in there, right? Okay. So inside this workspace, you do what? You create what is called a project. So how do you create a project? You go right here on the top, new SoapUI project. So here is my new SoapUI project. Now this is where exactly we are going to start in the next class, because you see something called a WSDL here. You see something called a WSDL, and we have many WSDLs which we will be working on. So if you see here my WSDLs, so these are the different WSDLs we'll be working. Most of them TrainingRite, but we also have Amazon.com, we have web service, and then we have REST services and all that. And in REST services, we'll be taking some example from Realtor.com, from Google, from Twitter. So we'll be doing so many of those as we progress in this course. So we have all that. So coming back in here, so when we come back in the next class, I will start off with the WSDL. So I'm gonna take any one of these WSDLs, not the REST service, but here. So let's say I'm gonna take this soap, Amazon.com, and I am going to explain you everything about that WSDL. For some reason it did not work, so we are going to take excuse me, I'm going to take, let's say, that one, right, just to show you something. Come in here. Okay, so as you see here, so much of data in here, right? And I promise you, and I'm not saying this for the sake of saying, when we come in the next class, within the first 15 minutes, you will become a champion of this. You will have absolutely no problem understanding that, right? The whole WSDL, you will understand in no time, because there is a trick to learn this. However huge it is, it doesn't matter. It could be so huge, but there is a trick to understand this, and that's what I would be sharing with you when you come back in the next class. I will share with you how to take a complex WSDL and make it so easy to understand. It becomes extremely easy for you to understand. And that is where we are going to begin. Once we have the WSDL, then we will come in here, and then we will paste the WSDL, and then we will start a project. We'll start a project. So as you can see, immediately it is connecting, and I have started a project. So I will repeat this again in the next class. So see here we have something called, now if you, this is clicked, right? If you don't know what it is, the simple way of knowing what it is if you look into this one. This will tell you what it is. So now you know that what I am looking at right now, is nothing but it's an interface. Now, it's a different story that we don't know what the heck is an interface. What does an interface do in a web service? That's what we will be introducing ourselves, right? In the next few classes, we'll be talking about interfaces. We'll be talking about operations, right? See here, operation. We'll be talking about operations. So there will be an interface. There will be an operation. Inside the operation, there will be a request. And when you pass the data to the request, whatever data it is, you will get some response. So that's what we will be talking about. And once we get the idea of all that, we'll be getting into parameterization, we'll be getting into creating a suite, we'll be getting into creating a test suite and test cases, and we'll be writing some heavy, groovy scripting. So it is going to be extremely interesting as we progress further into this course. So I am going to close my session now. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask me. The question here, one of the questions which we got is, what is a protocol? You keep saying protocol. What is a protocol? Protocol is nothing but a set of rules which you have to follow. So when we say that, we will be using SOAP protocol, meaning that the rules of the SOAP protocol is what we have to follow. So there are many protocols. There is something called an HTTP protocol, which I will introduce again in future. There is SOAP protocol. So what does these different protocols they do? They move data from point A to point B. They not only move data, but the data has to be packaged in a certain way, right? So let's say if you have to move something from here to India, right? You have something very, very interesting which you have purchased here, and you have to move it to your country. So you cannot put it in a garbage bag and take it, right? I mean, you know, there must be a protocol. The protocol is, okay, take a, let's say a cardboard box, and inside the cardboard box, put your thing which you have bought into a bubble wrap. Have that bubble wrap, plastic bubble wrap, put the thing in there, put it into a cardboard box, and on the cardboard box you have to seal it. So it's not like you take anything, put it in a garbage bag, and so there is no protocol there. There are no rules there. When back in our country, not to put any country down, but most of the third world countries take any country, even China. Now China, India, and all those countries, they have money now, but and only certain parts of India, China, they have money. But if you go to rural China, if you go to rural Europe, like Eastern Europe, go to Hungary. I don't know if you went to Russia, like big cities, Moscow, Ukraine, and but if you go to central Russia, if you go to some rural, there's no protocol, there's no rules, and because you have to take something, you can take however you want to take it. So likewise, the protocol here, SOAP protocol, you have to follow certain rules of that protocol. Rules is packaging of your payload. How do you package your payload? You basically put it into a SOAP envelope. The data has to be well formed. I did not talk about what is well formed. That's what we'll be talking about in future while we discuss the protocols in future. Can you please send me invitation for Google Group? Yes, we will do that. Anything personally like that? Yeah, definitely we'll do that. Okay, that's it. It is 10:07, closing the shop. If there are no further questions, I will see you guys. Okay, next class is going to be on Monday. Next class is going to be Monday. That's when I will be seeing you. You all have a good night, and for those folks who have not registered and you have a interest in this course, go ahead, register from our website, and we'll give you the videos and get you started. But again, thank you all of you for being here, and I'll see you again Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Enjoy your weekend.